things. This is really warm, so I might start taking off clothes.
Oh, it's that kind of stream.
It's that kind of stream. It's that kind of stream. I just attended a Zoom wedding for one of my good friends, and I'm just fixing up the overlay. I was stressing. I was like, do I wear my Chinese clothing or do I wear this one? And then I was one of the only people who actually dressed up for the Zoom wedding.
Well, it's a mess. Nobody makes an effort anymore.
I know. Yeah, it was a buddy of mine. Got married. Zoom weddings are weird. It was also funny because they didn't get a Zoom Pro account, so they were like, "We got 40 minutes."
It's an efficient wedding.
They did a lot of stuff first, and then they did like the speeches, their first dance, and then the father-daughter dance on Zoom, and then it was just like free Zoom meeting ended. Zoom showed no compassion. But we're back. Let's start. We are on page, was it 48?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, we are on page 48 if any of you are following along for this classy Unicorn Clan episode of Asians Read L5R. Who wants to start reading? Does anybody want to start?
I can read.
Cool. I'm going to ditch this bow tie.
The Unicorn Clan. 1,000 years ago, the Kyurem clan rode out of Rokugan, seeking to discover enemies hiding beyond the Emerald Empire's borders. Their journey was arduous, and they found many strange and powerful threats. In defeating each one, the clan learned, changing its fighting styles, magical practices, and even philosophy. To survive, it was forced to adapt and overcome. After 8 centuries of wandering, the Clan of the Wind returned to the Empire as the Unicorn Clan. They wear fur, speak foreign tongues, and wield strange weapons. Although they still revere the kami Shinjo, they have drifted far from the traditions and ways of the Emerald Empire. Shinjo's descendants are known for their skill as riders, skirmishers, and messengers, and many are trained in foreign fighting techniques or schools of philosophy. People expect them to be worldly and gregarious, if perhaps a bit rough around the edges in polite Rokugani society, given that many members of the clan spend much of their lives ranging across the wilds and unicorn lands and beyond.
I like the second one. It's pretty cool. I feel
the
like
second paragraph?
Yeah, the second paragraph. I feel like narratively you could be like, yes, this is what I learned when I was abroad, and this is who I am. I feel like there's room to be an individual here. Sar?
No, Sar, you go first. I'll go after.
Of all the clans in Rokugan, the Unicorn is the most. If you want to play an outsider in Rokugan, but you still want to play a Rokugani, you play Unicorn. They are. It's so like the typical Unicorn character is so far removed from the typical Rokugani character that it almost feels like they were just kind of planted in, and I guess thematically, yes, they were. Like their brand of magic is completely different from the rest of the Empire. Fun fact: Unicorn Shugenjas can no longer interact with the kami of Rokugan. They can only practice the magic that they learn from outside of Rokugan.
Does that have like big gameplay implications? Because we haven't gone to the magic chapter yet.
It's ish in a way, because it's not so much as the way the magic that they use magic, it's the way that they make magic happen. Whereas normal Rokugani magic, it's you make an offering to the kami, and then the kami either accepts or rejects that offering, and whatever you want to happen happens. Unicorn magic is I have this trinket. I know the name of the kami. I'm gonna put the kami in my trinket, and then when I need the kami, I'm gonna use the trinket to make whatever I want to happen. Think Pokeballs.
Oh, that made it worse.
That's not great.
I will reserve judgment for when we get to that chapter. My thing here is like they called them the Kyurem clan because of the mythical creature.
Yes,
but they don't even just. They could have just called because they say 1,000 years ago the Kyurem clan rode out of Rokugan, and they're like they left Rokugan and came back as the Unicorn, right? But like I don't know, it feels weird because the Kyurem is, I guess, the loose East Asian, because they're in Korea and they're in China and there are other parts as well. It's like a loose Asian analogy to what a unicorn actually is, because they're not always single horned.
And the Kirin in Japan are based on the Chinese
Qilin.
Yeah. But like I would never have put unicorn and Kirin together. It doesn't help that Kirin is now also used as the word for giraffes. So
I'm sorry, for what?
Giraffes.
Yeah.
No.
Because they brought
So-
because they brought giraffes to China.
Yeah.
And there were like paintings of giraffes being presented to the court, and they have their little nubs.
It's actually
And,
really
like,
cute. I like that a lot.
spots. And yeah, so in Japan a giraffe is a Kirin. So like
So
that's what I think.
I think there's going to be some things I probably won't like the more that we read, but I mentioned this before when I first joined the stream. I actually like the Unicorn Clan on a purely kind of personal thematic level. I just like the idea of this clan leaving and then returning and kind of having to adjust and kind of having to be perhaps even taken seriously, mostly because to me, I see the chance to tell the Asian diaspora story in there. I see the chance to tell the multiracial story in there, which for me is a big deal. Like the half Asian story, the Hapa story, or the quarter Asian story. Like I, it's very rare that I really see that in a role-playing game. I mean, half elves and half orcs don't really do it for me in the same way. And this, I feel like, would be a chance for me to tell that story if I so choose. So I like that. If I ever rolled a Unicorn Clan character, I would probably end up playing myself or some variant of myself, which I kind of appreciate them having built that into the game. Now, once again, this is just my personal take from reading kind of the bare minimum here. I'm sure as we get deeper into this, SAR might drop some factoids that might make me be like, but I guess just reading this right here, I do feel a certain kind of kinship to this material specifically because, you know, I never went to Taiwan until I was like in my 20s, and then I lived there for a long time. Then I lived in Hong Kong, and that was, you know, kind of the experience of a foreigner trying to figure out his mother's culture. And I think you could do something like that with this if you bent it around a little bit.
Yeah. It would almost be cool if they had come back as the Kirin, because it is sort of like a chimera
That would probably
That
be
would be
type of
cool.
more
creature
interesting. Yeah,
that came in from like mainland Asia
yeah,
into
that would be more
Japan.
interesting. Yeah.
That would make more sense in terms of naming, because unicorn, I don't know about that.
Well,
I think
okay,
they were
no,
trying to
so
find an analogous creature because all the other clans have names that make sense in
Uh-oh.
English.
no, but
Sorry.
Calling
doing
it,
that
like, the
thing.
Kirin.
no, I do.
Oh, here we go. Sorry.
I do remember from talk. I had a weird talk with an archaeologist named Robert Mason a long time ago.
Oh,
Old mentor of mine. Emma knows him.
yeah.
He's someone who
Archaeology stories. Here we go.
well, he's someone who has like carried around a replica clay grenade from the Crusades just for fun. He taught me how to
several
shoot
years,
bows, and he's a cool guy. But he's like a white British man with a beard, who like we couldn't really have on the show. But he is the weapons expert in my life. We were talking about this, and like I think the unicorn has roots in like the Indus Valley.
Yeah.
Or depictions of it. So like coming back as a unicorn, I don't know about the word unicorn, but the idea of a like unicorn
Yeah.
like makes sense. But I don't think that the writers of L5R thought that way. I think they were just like, oh, a Kirin, that's too Asian. Let's just make it unicorn so people understand. I think that's the case. But coming back as a unicorn, it's feasible.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's already like Phoenix and some other mythical beasts in here, but
Okay,
I
we
just
already
linked-
talked about Phoenix. Let's not talk about Phoenix.
Check out the thing
Yeah.
that SAR dropped in the
I
chat.
just dropped. This is a card from the LCG.
I just saw Ivory Kingdoms in there. I don't.
oh
No,
boy,
you got to click on it. You got to click on it.
creature,
What the fuck?
Gaijin.
Creature, Gaijin, fat, stupid,
Wait,
and
why is-
ugly, a
why-
perfect unicorn.
Why is this considered a gaijin?
It's a rhino.
It's a foreign. It's a foreign.
This is
foreign
mean
creature.
to rhinos. This reminds me of that cute
Oh,
picture.
this
I don't know if
bag
you
of
guys have seen.
Lay's potato chips, Gaijin.
There's a cute
Welcome
picture of like
to
a
my
rhino
world.
running on a
Can't even see it.
treadmill
The sailboat,
and
Gaijin.
saying that he wants to become a unicorn.
Oh boy.
What the fuck? Like the Roman Colosseum?
This
Yeah.
was
Fat,
yeah.
stupid, and ugly. A perfect unicorn.
Oh, come on.
Caliph Harun.
I feel like we just don't have the time to unpack all of that.
I feel like Adam Ali just is like having an aneurysm in the chat right now. I'm so sorry, Adam Ali.
I'm gonna bring us back to the text though, and I'm gonna say that
You should open
When
the
I- when I-
picture
when
just
I-
dropped in briefly though.
oh my god, when I
Sorry, Steve.
I'm going to also
told you, it's
share
so good.
that I'm gonna I love that picture. Body image is real issue. Talk to me about it on Twitter.
Told you. Yeah, this is.
I think hey, look,
there you go.
that's me when I go out there running.
But it shouldn't be. Moving on.
Look, I'm happy with myself, but I also like to set goals. And maybe I want to be like a beautiful Chilin.
Aesthetic
Anyways.
goals are not the healthiest fitness goals. Is what I'll say there.
No, but this is not an aesthetic goal. This is more of like a health goal.
So business consultant Steve is like, what does health mean? What are the metrics? But we gotta save that. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. There's
But what I would want to bring is like Jeremy, your point about like the Asian diaspora. That is 100% something I really, really respect L5R for building into the text. Like it is very clear that this is the clan to help explore the idea of like mixed race, whatever you want to label it, but trying to come back to a Far East Asian setting and like the problems that you're going to encounter, the issues you're going to encounter, the struggles you'll encounter. This is beautiful. This is great. I love it.
I think that's how a lot of like
Yeah.
Asian Americans, overseas Asian Europeans will interpret this particular clan. I'm not sure about non-Asian people, but
And I can understand like the original intention of like maybe they were coded to be like kind of white, so like the white audience could really like engage with the East Asian,
yeah.
and that's a really interesting business decision. It's not very helpful because it definitely punches down to mixed race people who like don't feel that same diaspora, because white people don't feel diaspora.
So I have a question for you, Sar.
It's even worse.
From like the perspective of the diaspora, like when I went to China for the first time, I was like, oh, I'm back in the the motherland, but like I don't feel like I belong. Like do unicorns? Do members of the unicorn clan like interact regularly with other like Rokugani peoples and clans? Like what is their clan structure like within Rokugan now that they've returned? Like
They are so the unicorn is currently at war with the lion. I mean, who isn't at war with the lion? They have a really contentious relationship with the phoenix right now. It's a really weird relationship. The phoenix believe that Mishodo is heretical, and the unicorn says we're going to keep practicing it, and the emperor has said that you can go ahead and keep practicing it. But the phoenix is saying that you're evil for doing this. They are really close allies with the crane. Of all the clan, the crane is probably the unicorn's biggest ally. They're respected by the crab. The only time the Kaiju wall was ever breached was by the returning unicorn. And the dragon kind of sees them as an oddity, and the scorpion don't even think that they're even worth manipulating.
there's so many layers to this.
Was the unicorn like a late addition like the scorpion was, or were they built in from the
No,
very beginning?
they were built into the very first game, and I'm actually very sorry to have to report this, but John Wick has actually confirmed that the unicorn was the girl clan.
Oh yeah, you said that at the
this
beginning.
early on, yeah.
I know when
Yeah.
we get to the schools in this text, we're actually going to encounter a lot of that, and we'll spend a lot of energy on that.
Oh god.
Yeah, we'll
Am I
save our
going to
energy.
feel so represented that it hurts.
Just like that ninja in that Kickstarter.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
So let's read. Let's take it back to the text. Steve will
Yeah.
trade. Let's start with the well, we usually skip the what does your character know because it's redundant. But what does Bushido mean to your clan? I think I'm curious.
But
about.
actually, here they talk
Actually-
about how they know foreign words and foreign languages in the.
And you know, and
Yeah.
they actually know basic
Okay.
facts about life in foreign lands too.
So
Yeah.
Nahiri, Ivindi, Miantu, and Portuga.
What are the equivalents of that in the real world? Sorry.
Nahiri would actually be something akin to Hindu. Ivindi, I would imagine like probably possibly Arabic or Arab analogous. Miantu, I would imagine that would be Malay, and Portuga is generic
Portuguese.
European language.
Oh,
Because they went to Europe in like early L5R.
They went to
editions.
Europe.
Yeah.
apparently the chat
There
is
is-
saying that Ivindi is just Hindi, which this is just bad because it's like that Conan book where they were just like changing a few letters.
The wiki is, oh my gosh, for Ivindi is terrible. It says it is a bizarre language.
Oh,
Good
God.
start.
Oh,
I mean, that's what most Westerners say about Asian languages. They're so different. They don't have alphabets. Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Although it's funny, there is an old Jackie Chan movie. In America, it was called Jackie Chan's First Strike, but in Asia, it was Police Story 4. And he goes to Russia, and he's on the phone with somebody, and they're like, "Where are you?" And he's trying to tell them the name, but he's like, "Backwards K, both ways." And he's trying to explain the strange letters to him. That just came to my mind. Sorry. It's a great movie. Okay, so so the wiki, since Monty, you went and looked at the wiki for it. Does the wiki draw from the 5th edition stuff, or does it draw mostly from the AEG stuff?
AEG.
Yeah.
Hardcore AEG. I've been trying to get that thing taken down for ages because it's a hotbed of racism and misinformation.
it is not a resource us freelancers use that often because
It's all old lore. It has
It's
like
all old lore.
It has like 2 scorpion women on the side, like half naked, as the
Mhm.
background.
It's
Oh.
It's a
also
good
not.
indicator.
It's not super helpful for me, at least, and it's kind of hard to find anything. It's kind of a weird wiki.
The point of wikis is to make you horny. So I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah, totally, Steve.
There should be an Asians represent wiki with like all the
it's just
micro
like-
RPGs we've come up with, like a page for each one, and just Steve in cargo shorts, a whole entry.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's got to
10,000
be.
words.
There's got to be cargo shorts. That's an entry, and it just talks about Steve's love of cargo shorts.
Hold on.
Wear
At the
shorts
end of
that
the
fit.
stream, I'm going to show you a pair of pants that some people may call cargo shorts. I call hiking pants. I want to know if they're okay.
Whoa.
I literally just got a pair of cargo shorts.
You feel
in
like
the
a
mail
thread about
today.
this on Twitter, I think.
30 seconds. Cargo shorts do no justice for how amazing your legs, all of your legs, look in real life. They are practical, but they make you look, they put weight where you don't want weight to be shown.
Steve, were we talking about body image earlier?
This is the
I
rhino.
just want to call out this hypocrisy here.
There is a very in-depth conversation that I can have at some point in time of body image and
Okay.
how self-body image and public body image can all relate to like harm that can cause the psyche.
It's a
Okay.
conversation well worth having.
It is well
And-
worth having. Is why I run.
But let's get back to the text.
Oh, okay.
What does
Okay.
Bushido mean to
Steve-
the unicorn clan?
Steve gets called out. Let's go back to the text.
Let's. Oh, wow, okay. No, I'm going to talk about Bushido now. I'd
Let's
rather
talk
talk about
Oh.
Bushido.
Steve, what does Bushido mean to the unicorn?
Never thought I would hear that said.
It's okay. I don't want to lose all my honor on this stream.
Yeah.
Clip that.
What does Bushido mean to your clan? Compassion for the Unicorn Clan is the most significant tenet of Bushido to the Unicorn Clan. For mutual understanding and cooperation was the key to the clan's survival during its long journey across the wider world. I have problems with that. Hold on. On this journey, members of the Unicorn Clan, met many people with a wide variety of beliefs, cultures, and values, and they became far more accustomed to coexistence with strangers outside than most great clan samurai. The Unicorn Clan has had several centuries to acclimate to the Emerald Empire, to which it has returned, but the customs had culture they adopted during their travels remained a powerful force within their clan. These customs often clash with the Rokugani concept of courtesy, and the unicorn's seemingly dismissal of the Rokugani politeness is one of the most contentious ways in which Shinjo's clan differs from those of her siblings. See another page for more information of honor and glory. So what I wanted to pause here was that this red text explicitly conflicts with the black text that we had just read. Because in the black text, and someone in chat actually brought this up, the Kirin clan, as they had traveled along, their journeys were wrought with violence. They defeated enemies in battle, and then you have this idea that they acclimated and became accustomed to other people's cultures, which, oops, all colonialism is what it's implied, and that is a problem. I don't think they meant to do that. I think it's unintentional. And I think that's a symptom of having majority white creative directors on text like this.
Oh, that card that you just sent us, Sar.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
That card is that text.
That card is that text.
So I love the idea of them being a clan that really cares about compassion, and I like the idea of them being able to coexist with non-Rokugani people more than the other clans. But when you bring up the fact that they're mentioned to have encountered quite a lot of violence in their journeys abroad, you're right. There is a disconnect that results, and I don't think it was intentional, because I didn't pick up on it until you actually brought it up. That wouldn't have been my first thought, but yeah, I think it's intentional. I think it's valid, and I think this could be fixed if we had more context into exactly what kind of people did these unicorns meet when they were outside. To what extent did they have to engage in necessary violence, and how did that shape them as a people? We're kind of left with two conflicting paragraphs here, and I quite like the one in red and parts of the one in black, but when put together the way you just did, you're right, it does create a conflict.
So I have a question for Sar. It's did the earlier versions of L5R make a connection between one aspect of Bushido and a clan, or is this a new thing for...
No, each clan always have had a link to Bushido. That's why Scorpion was created.
Okay. So the unicorn has always been associated with compassion ever since the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get where compassion kind of oozes out of, is in the whole unicorn mythos. They, of all the clans, they're the ones that have. I already started, so I'm just going to finish it. They have this city called Khan Bulak, where foreigners are allowed to come in and trade, and people are treated as fairly over there as possible until sundown, in which all foreigners have to leave.
What?
Yeah. It's called Khan Bulak.
Is that in this lore? Is that in 5?
That is in this lore. That is in a novella printed by Fantasy Flight Games.
I think there's a thing that's interesting here about the unicorn clan. I think that's I think, Jeremy, this is what you're also talking about. There's this potential here for them to be, these mixed people who have this very interesting cultural background.
I would love a clan of just mixed people,
right?
the biracial, one.
I think that's kind of what I see here. There's no way that they're pure Rokugani. I'm interpreting them as a mixed clan. And they have this very rich background, and they accept all cultures because they're super compassionate, because they're worldly, right? And they're tolerant. But when they come back to Rokugan, their tolerance is no, this is bad. And it's just it's odd because there's so much good potential here with the unicorn clan, and then there's all this terrible shit.
I'm also left with some questions, which isn't surprising given how brief a lot of this is, but saying an entire clan leaves and comes back makes me wonder.
What, hundreds of thousands of people are peace.
And then how many maybe didn't come back and there are still connections? are they still regularly interacting with people from the outside? Because being back in Rokugan for centuries is also something that needs thinking about.
Also, what does it mean to be a Unicorn Clan member who's born in Rokugan?
So
generations deep.
Yeah.
Actually, there are unicorn members that are actually born outside the actual borders of Rokugan, because the unicorns still have holdings and still have territory outside of Rokugan proper. They maintain the road and all the trading posts between Rokugan and what's called the Ivory and the Burning Sands and the empires of the Burning Sands. They maintain, and those people that maintain and facilitate the trading posts, those are considered members of the unicorn. Those are vassal families of the Shinjo family. So yeah, they still have connections outside of Rokugan, and people that are born outside of Rokugan that are, and it's really funny because you ask about people that left Rokugan. Well, a small contingent actually stayed within Rokugan, and they became, if I'm not mistaken, they became actually the Fox Clan. They became the Fox Clan when the Lions started taking over Unicorn lands. They said, no. Well, Lion is a big clan, and the Fox Clan was just a small amount of people, so Fox Clan got moved to somewhere else. But while the Kirin was outside Rokugan, they met up with a family called the Moto, and the Moto came back with them to Rokugan.
Interesting.
I think there's a lot of stereotypes on like the Khans, going back to Mulan, the Rorins, the Mongolian influence here is kind of strong, and the way they're portraying it is leaning heavy on how like the Asian barbarians and like Conan lore are portrayed, and which is not great. I'm full of lots of conflicting feelings because I still like the idea of this clan being full of people that do not quite look and act like the rest of Rokugan. Like that really affects me. But at the same time, the idea that, if these people communicated with outsiders and have blood of foreigners in them, they're somehow worse or less than other members of the empire. That's a tough thing to swallow. And that's
a little too real.
That's something from real,
The thing is,
in some cases, but it's a problematic thing to stick into your game.
The thing is, like, the Moto are not looked on as less than other Rokugani. They're considered full-fledged Rokuganis. People born outside of Rokugan are not considered less than, as long as they have that unicorn mon on them.
Okay, but well.
And also, if there's any confusion about whether or not the unicorn are Mongolian, just look at that picture that I just linked.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't. Sorry, I missed that.
They've got yurts.
Oh, so of course.
Of course, they have
literally
yurts.
called windswept yurt.
There is one thing, Jeremy, I want to revolve with Mulan and this unicorn clan, and it's kind of how a small change in words can really make a lot of difference and make any minority feel seen. A lot of this right now speaks to Asian diaspora and things like that, but ways you could change the text, and this is like Steve being sensitivity reader, like giving like free labor and whatnot, is saying things like, to display all non-Rokugani encounters as something to defeat and thus become stronger through is a problem. It implies that either the world is full of dangers like monsters and you have to overcome them, or environmental dangers you have to overcome them, is one thing. But the fact of the matter is, we live in a world where if you travel enough kilometers outside of your town, you'll encounter other human beings, even within this fictional kind of like medieval type of technology. You will find people. And the implication here is based on what me individually knows about the world. When you travel away for 1,000 years, 800 years, you're going to encounter other people. It's going to happen, especially in like, we have domestication and weapons and like we can forge steel. You're going to find people. And if the only description I have is that the threats are defeated, it's very clear from the text what you're trying to tell me. And it makes me uncomfortable, because what you're telling me is that this unicorn clan is entrenched in violence towards other people. They were forged by it. Violence is now a good thing. It's a force of like good. And after that time, these people decided to go back to Rokugan with their like extra learnings, but if they value violence, then they've come back with that lens, and now we just have this setting that is entrenched in violence and cruelty. And if we go back to other readings we've had with Oriental adventures and other texts that we found to be Orientalist in its core, one of the core pillars we see from Orientalism is that agents are represented as savage or violent and cruel. And, you know, the logic here follows kind of as I outlined, and that can cause harm. And it basically tells me as an individual, as a consumer, that I can't play this game with a random group. I can really only play this game with, and I'm so lucky, with Sar and the rest of this crew. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think that definitely is one take on it. I also feel that like L5R is a game that, because it's set within this quasi-Japanese setting, you get into kind of historical Japanese xenophobia, and this, that xenophobia is kind of throughout this entire text, with people from Rokugan thinking that they're the only country that matters. But it does come out more with this Unicorn Clan. Now, people in the chat are saying that, if you're born in the Unicorn Clan, even if you have foreigner blood in you, you're still a member of Rokugan. You're not less than anyone else. And I like that. But I do think that, as Steve said, kind of this barbaric Asian image does permeate this clan, as well as the idea of, traditional xenophobia, where like, oh, you spend time outside and you're different in some way. I don't know. Like I said, I still, something in this clan still speaks to me. Like I'm letting a lot slide right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I think something embedded in it speaks to me on a deep level, which I think is important. Like obviously I feel seen to an extent with this clan because of certain experiences in my life mirrored in the text. And to give props to the book, because we sometimes forget to do that. I think that's good. Whether or not they intended to do it or not is another matter. But sitting here reading this, like I think it's good that at least I feel seen when going through this text here.
I think you kind of hit it why I felt so seen with the Scorpion Clan.
Yeah.
Because as an Asian man, generally I'm not seen as like a very like sexual presenting person. Like my sexuality is usually presented by media as basically to be feminized or to be like a joke, more or less. But that's not who I am as a core person. And Scorpion Clan allows me the tools and the narrative and the text, important text, to talk about myself as a man, mass presenting person, and highly sexual. Mm-hmm. And that is like super important to me as an individual. And maybe that is very succinctly how and why I connect so much with the Scorpion Clan.
Yeah.
And hence why you connect so much with the Unicorn Clan.
I think
that's
so,
like
too.
Beautiful, but wrought out as something that's very painful. And we had to like do a lot of work to get there.
Well, it's owning a part of your identity, right? I think the broadly speaking, the Unicorn Clan is AEG and FFG's framing tool for the world in and outside of Rokugan, right? They're saying that Rokugan is safe and that the world outside, is scary and evil. And look, these people left 800 years ago and now they're coming back. They bring with them that fear, that barbarism, that savagery, and it has changed them, even though there are members of the Unicorn Clan who have never experienced that in-game violence. I mean, this is just another problem with this game, in that its world building has the strangest sense of scale. And I know I say this every single stream, but the world here has like no sense of scale.
Oh, you want to talk about scale? That's supposedly this background behind me.
Yeah, we were talking about that when you left.
That's a unicorn castle. I mean,
subtle.
Look. I mean, okay. Look at these people right over there to my right, right here to my left, rather. Yeah, to my right.
Right on screen. Yeah.
Right on screen. Like, I'm trying to.
I'm not gonna lie. The unicorn heads on the side, I kind of dig it just because
it's kind of cool. But like, Sarah's right about scale, though.
Yeah.
Like a building this size, this has got to be. This is about the size of Empire State, at least. At least it's not. At least it's like the U.S. Bank Tower in L.A.
Of course. Yeah, I think that again. I think this is, FFG trying to make sure that they show things that are grand without really thinking about literal scale and the culture they are trying to depict. Because if they are depicting a culture of people who are living a semi-sedentary lifestyle, I guess they're going to build tall buildings like that because that totally makes sense. But also, like, I personally don't know how long they've been back in Rokugan. Because it's all it says here, and again, this is a critique of the core book, is after 8 centuries of wandering, just wandering aimlessly. Also, that word is just so poorly used there. Why are they out there? The clan of the wind returned to the empire. I don't know how long they've been back.
Right, several centuries, but
is it several centuries? 1,000 years ago, they rode out to Rokugan. So 200 years. So 200 years, right?
They've been back for about 300 years now.
So they went out 1,000 years ago. 800 years ago, they came back, and so let's say 200, maybe 300, if the lore has progressed since then. But like as a reader, I'm looking at this and I'd be like, okay, 1,000 years ago they left. 800 they decided to come back. Then it would have taken multiple generations to acclimate to being sedentary. Because if you're living a life when you're just like, oh yeah, I'm on the go all the time. I'm living in this yurt, apparently atop this hill. Why is that hill there? Who knows? But you're living in yurts and your population is how big? What is your social structure like, right? Because if you look at semi-sedentary peoples, they don't travel in very, very large groups like they're depicting in L5R. So what happens when you force all of these people with their own sort of means of leadership, their own social hierarchies, and you bring them back as writers, bring them back to Rokugan and force them to live within the highly, highly hierarchical, Rokugani society. Like, I think it would be really interesting to explore how that transition happened. But instead they're back and it's weird to everyone.
The idea of why you would go back after so many generations away to...
What attachment do they have?
As a whole clan. So individually, sure. As entire population, a little strange and weirds me out a little because of its similarities to Japan's reasoning for annexing Korea. The whole, we were originally from here, so now we're coming back. It's like, oh boy.
Unless there's like some huge world event somewhere on the unexplored other half of this world that forces them to migrate, which could be an interesting story, like a huge migration story. I don't know if that's built into the lore.
I would absolutely love it if that could be retcon. However, all we ever got from AEG and FFG has been they just came back.
But it's also like if the Unicorn Clan have like hundreds of thousands of people, and Rokugan is, society is established in Rokugan. They're agriculturalists. They have cities. Where the hell are you going to put all these people?
So in the chat, it's being said that apparently they did discover some kind of oncoming threat, like the end of the world, and they
went back to save their homeland because they have honor or duty. Like that. That's still like. What connection do they have to Rokugan that compelled an entire population to return home?
I do not recall that at all. That's how what I know is that that Shinjo was given a mirror by Lady Doji as a sign of affection, a token of their siblinghood, and the unicorn used that mirror given by Lady Doji to prove that they were the Unicorn Clan. That they do belong to.
But again, they have this like.
So maybe I'll pause here because we've kind of like gone outside the scope of the text, which is totally fine. We do it all the time. But in the interest of like getting through the Unicorn Clan and talking about the cultural impact that it has, maybe it's an appropriate thing to talk about maybe outside of the stream or maybe in a second stream.
Yeah, I will just say that if you have a mobile people and the chat are saying that they're always mobile, right? And you're trying to base this on Japanese feudalism, a system of land ownership, you're going to run into some weird logical problems there. But anyways, we should read the blue text because we always read the blue text.
Yes.
Unicorn clan culture, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. The unicorn clan values novelty and flexibility of tradition in a way that other clans do not. Members of the unicorn clan tend to be very receptive to new ideas and cultural elements without fearing the loss or erosion of their own. For they preserved a consistent culture throughout their long centuries of journeying. However, the unicorn are driven by an ambition that is not easy to quell, and those seen as lacking in drive are often pushed out by more aggressive members of the clan. It's just that last bit is.
There's a lot of clashing characteristics here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What do they mean
So-
by they preserved a consistent culture?
That bothers me.
That
a
doesn't
lot.
make any sense.
Consistent
Especially
culture
for
is basically an
mix.
oxymoron.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, especially if you're
they're-
mixed, Emma. That's the point there, right?
If they're, I like, here's another thing. If it's a whole clan leaving, I assume they're not all in the same place and coming back from different places. So, like, this is going to be a whole bunch of different mixes. And then what's consistent about that other than it's consistently mixed?
Yeah,
You
but what
really-
defines unicorn clan culture? A group of people like who collectively value novelty, which is
And ambition.
yeah.
I have a weird bit of esoteric RPG knowledge that might be relatable. And this is completely random. Somebody can tell me I'm completely wrong, but there was another game, BattleTech. I don't know if anybody followed the BattleTech.
Okay,
BattleTech
go
has
on,
been
go on.
talked about in the Discord.
Yeah. So there was a clan war series of novellas where a group of basically a clan of BattleTech warriors left the inner sphere, wandered out out in space, and then came back. That sounds very similar to this unicorn clan stuff. They had a very assimilist type culture. They basically went to planet and picked out people they thought would help, increase their combat ability kind of thing to come back to reconquer the inner sphere.
A little
And, like,
boorish.
So the descriptions everyone that's just now talking about just makes me think that, and this, I looked it up, and the clan war stuff happened a few years before L5R came out. So I'm kind of just wondering if some writer just liked that idea, and then that, I don't know. This is just speculation. I have no idea. I could be
Great
completely
writers
wrong.
are inspired. Good writers are inspired. Great writers steal outright. That's
You know who's a great
writer?
writer?
That's an expression.
Monty.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But shake
that-
your head.
completely random. I just remember, like, in the early 90s, just this whole thing sounds very familiar.
I have been told that we need to look into some aspects of BattleTech on stream.
Oh my gosh.
But not on this stream.
But not on
Yeah,
this
not
one.
right now though.
But let's
Yeah,
move
sorry.
on. Let's move
That was a
on.
tangent.
That's okay.
No, it's yeah.
Look, Monty, whenever I know you always like, oh, I don't talk as much. I'm like, Monty, whenever you open your mouth to say something, it's always insightful and it always contributes to the conversation. So never apologize for saying anything on stream.
All right,
Also,
sorry.
chat saw your suspenders, and chat wants to see your suspenders.
Oh, okay. And
Oh, suspenders.
see,
Bow tie. Suspenders.
can we just show like everyone who dressed up? Sorry. Can we show
I dressed
I didn't
down
have time.
for
I had
this.
work until this.
Okay. I remember you saying that.
feel
Like, I
like I
spent too
called
much
out.
time on the Discord.
That too.
We should show Monty's outfit some love because Monty was like, I'm not sure about this outfit. I think, Monty, you look fantastic.
You look good.
I think
Yeah.
I look ridiculous.
At
I
least
feel like I have
show
to give
some-
Monty an award.
Show
Like,
some love for Monty and his suspenders, please, chat.
I feel like I need an envelope, and I'll open it. I'll be like, the award for best cultural consultant goes to.
I was
Oh,
jealous
Why
no
of
did, why
way.
did it open like that? Was it like a little
Cosplay
pot of
last
paint,
time.
Steve?
Anyway,
Yeah, our envelopes are low budget.
Low budget. Okay, so we're on Unicorn Clan families. So,
Eat it.
Ide, is that how you say it?
Hmm.
Yeah, the Ide family. 9 Koku.
Oh,
Dang.
Damn. Are they the richest clan?
That's richer than any
I
Scorpion
got that
clan.
overseas money.
No, you can't. The Yasuki, they are the richest.
Wait, which Yasuki are in what clan?
Crab. They start with 10.
Crab clan.
Hoarding it all behind the wall.
Yeah, well.
No, they just don't want their money to be tainted. The Ide tirelessly serve as diplomats, courtiers, and merchants across Rokugan. Okay, that makes sense then. While they are unicorn through and through, the Ide have learned to blend their foreign customs with the traditions of the empire to better treat with their cousins. Okay. The Ide work to radiate calm and competence, seeking to build alliances and friendships throughout the empire. There's a lot to unpack with that. Oh.
Plus pictures.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't see what's to unpack here, but I'm definitely like willing to listen here because I want to hear some thoughts on this.
Well, for me, it's just like the Ide have learned to blend their foreign customs with the traditions of the empire to better treat. I think that means trade with their cousins or treat with their cousins. That sentence is weird.
Entreat, maybe. I don't know.
Better treat. But for me, it's like discard aspects of your culture and your tradition for money.
Yeah, they become model minority. I got that.
It's the model minority. I just don't like that because it's just like, but also
no.
like, yeah, it's like,
we're at a point. We're at a point where like I look at model minority in RPG,
But
I'm like, that's fine.
But it's also like the Ide work to radiate calm and competence. So for them, an Ide character is implied to be constantly making sacrifice or.
You're supposed to be a trader. The Ide is like the trading merchant.
Yeah,
family.
they're a trader, but it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna.
It's a merchant. The merchant class.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
play. You play Ragnarok Online. The merchant class.
No,
Sorry, go
This
ahead.
is what the Ide does. This is what the Ide does. Oh no, that's not what he meant. He meant this.
Okay.
Is this supposed to be kind of like code switching? Is that what
It
they're
is.
kind of trying to say? Okay.
So there's a way to write that kind of stuff that doesn't like empower the model minority myth. And if I were to write this or I'd be a cultural consultant on this, I would say like what you're trying to say is that these particular people understand that when languages change or when customs are a little bit different, some things are lost in translation, and these people try to bridge those gaps.
I know why this bugs me. So recently we got an email from a Democratic group in Texas who wanted us to partner with Andrew Yang and do like a thing.
Oh.
But like, did y'all read his Washington Post article where he was like, "Oh yeah, flash that red, white, and blue. Be more American, and people will be less racist to you." That's why this bothers me.
So that's all within like the model minority myth.
And we recently talked about this on like our Core Asians Represent group. That's why I was like, oh yeah, that's why it bothered me. Uchi family, only 5 koku. The Uchi are a priestly family whose practices stretch back to the time before the unicorn returned to Rokugan. Uchi Shugenja practice a unique form of sorcery known as Meishodo, the art of using talismans and names to manipulate the spirits. Oh, this is what you talked about, Sar. Their history makes them more open to exploring different mystical paths than those bound by centuries of tradition. Thoughts, anybody?
I linked a picture of a Meishodo wielder.
Oh, okay.
Are their practices not based on centuries of tradition as well?
I know, right?
Oh, okay. So the unicorn learned Meishodo magic by stealing it. Literally, they went to a tower. Uchi, the guy who discovered the guy who the family's named after, he literally went to a tower and stole the magic.
Tower.
That's where you keep your magic.
I will say though,
keep-
this character looks mixed to me.
He does.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
actually like this character. I like this piece of art a lot.
So they stole their magic,
All their magic.
or is not? But it's said that they've they've stolen it, not that it was from like cultural exchange.
Nope, they literally, Uchi literally, and this is actually in the novella. He went to a tower, went up the tower, snuck around, and stole a bunch of scrolls and ran out.
There's so much colonialism going
Yeah.
on here that
I
don't
will
know.
say that I don't get a sense of that extra colonialist theft from the text. The text really is like pretty neutral to me.
It is.
Mhm.
This is a greater lore thing.
But I've talked about this in the past where it's kind of like when you go to the wiki, and I think it's very fair to say that if you were a L5R player or consumer looking to like expand what is on the text, or you're like, hey, I like to deep dive, the wiki is 100% a valid resource that someone could reasonably go and look to. And Sar, I feel like everything you say is always within the realm of wiki or other text, and I always appreciate the context you give, because it.
Here's my. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, because it gives us the ability to examine the problems and decide that, hey, we will uproot all those problems, and as a group, if we're playing together, disregard them. We can just outright do that, and that is good for me as a consumer, because it makes me feel like, wow, you really do care about the things that I care about, which is don't experience microaggressions at your table. That's big. That's a big important for me.
The thing is, people who want to go deep dive, if they had somebody like me at the table, if they have somebody like Trevor Cuba, or people who have actually been in this in L5R for a long time, and they've navigated the L5R waters for a long time. That's great. However, the wiki is just information, and a lot of it is not accurate information. They have things labeled as TCG, and that confuses people. I mean, there's no L5R TCG. There was a CCG, and then there's a LCG. So it's it's a minor complaint. I'll admit that. However, a lot of old lore that's harmful, a lot of information that's harmful, a lot of characters that are harmful to a lot of Asians are still kept and maintained by the wiki.
I mean, like, I see there's like talk in the chat about this Meishodo. Again, like, for the purposes of this stream, it doesn't matter because we're reacting to the core book. We're reacting as.
Book.
Oh, go ahead, Emma.
And the core book still has, like, a lot of the questions I have are based on the wording that I see. Like, what do you mean by it's not based on centuries of tradition? That's just kind of really dismissive of stuff outside of Rokugan. And it might not be said explicitly, but it's still a sentiment that comes across that, stuff outside is weird. And while the unicorn are seen as Rokugani people, clearly they're not at the same time. They're accepted, and yet they're weird to the point where they don't know how to interact with a unicorn person. Like, there's a lot going on, even within just the descriptions.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is tough because, if you're a biracial, multiracial, whatever person, you often struggle with that from the day that you learn more about your identity and your racial makeup. And so, it's this touches on a lot of like old Japanese xenophobia, or at least what Westerners thought of old Japanese xenophobia to be like. And so it's a lot of concepts going on here.
Speaking of that, let's go to the Moto family and talk about how the Japanese treat cultures where men have big beards.
Well, can I read this?
Super.
Yeah, go for it, Jeremy.
The Moto are considered to be the least civilized of the unicorn families by the standards of the empire. From their stocky builds and the heavy beards of their men to their style of dress, the Moto seem foreign and strange to Rokugani samurai. Indeed, the Moto have no use for the soft trappings of what some call civilization. They are nomadic warriors seeking the next battle, and they embrace that harsh life. While their heritage and culture are often questioned, in Rokugan their bravery is not. Yeah, so this kid goes heavy on that kind of like historical xenophobia, like, ooh, like a beard is uncouth or like that's foreign in some way, which is a real thing in certain parts of Asia, and kind of is standard language used to denote like the quote unquote barbarian tribes in the north of China or in other parts of
I mean, there's
Asia.
also the Ainu.
Northern Japan.
Northern
yeah.
Japan, the Ainu, yeah.
Okay.
Also general historical Chinese ideas with Confucianism, where you're not supposed to
Yep.
shave at all,
Yeah.
right? Like, but yes, go on.
This art is,
Looking at this picture.
just find it really perplexing.
Well, that's not where a bit goes in a horse's mouth. That's
Oh
not
yeah,
what
Emma,
the
you know
ears
all
look
about
like.
horses.
Yeah, born and raised with horses. But also, I think this whole bearded thing is going more toward perhaps Mongolian more than Ainu or anything else.
Yeah, this is Mongolian.
Moto are definitely Mongolian.
But yeah.
So it's interesting, once again, they are using kind of the stereotypical ideas that Han Chinese people might have had against the quote unquote Mongol invaders, but this is fantasy Japan, and so it's that kind of blending of cultures. But it's also an interesting thing that, like, are there any unicorn members who are like really big in the Rokugani government? Because there have been dynasties in China which were governed by non-Han Chinese,
The Yuan dynasty.
including these people descended from these so-called barbarians. That's an important thing to that's a big part of real life history. Is that in Rokugan at all?
Not right now. I will say that in previous game in AEG, unicorns did rose to titles like Voice of the Emperor or the Emerald Champion or stuff like that. But right now, everything's
What about the Emperor, because that happened in like real life.
That really happened in China.
There was an event called Race for the Throne in which Dragon won. But Moto Chagatai did make a play for the throne. And he almost succeeded if it wasn't for those meddling lions.
Do the I think we touched on this, the linguistic differences between the unicorn and the rest of Rokugan? Because it's so silly to assume that they would speak the same Rokugani after after 1,000 years. You just look at China. You talk to somebody who speaks Shanghainese.
Yeah,
and you're just like,
Cantonese,
what language is
Shanghainese?
what language is that
today? Yeah, like it's completely different dialects, languages,
and
not just dialects.
all across Japan too.
Yeah.
Every region has a different version, and there are multiple languages in North, Central, and South. So yeah,
my beef with this illustration is also like the way the art is done for the bow. The quiver is, I hate back quivers because I think they're dumb.
You see the bow, and I can't stop looking at that horse's bridle. The bit isn't even attached to the bridle.
But like,
why is it there?
But like, he's holding the bow at this hand, and the quiver is sticking out of this side. So he's got to reach like this to grab an arrow to fire another one. I just don't like that. And I know that the artist only put that there so you could see the arrows.
Yeah.
Also, what are they attached to? I don't see any straps around the breastplate or anything.
It's glued to his back.
It's glued.
right, because this is a Warhammer model, right?
Yeah.
I will say, for any creator out there, if you put in your RPG how horses and humans have like grown together and how horses are part of the culture, you win all my awards. You get all my money. Like, that is amazing. Similarly to how I tweeted this long ago, culture and food and identity are inseparable. Transportation and humans and culture, they're inseparable. Talk about how people move around. You will talk about culture, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful.
Speaking of which, on the 26th, when we do our Dungeons and Asian stream, it's going to be like a Hot Springs food episode. So tune into that.
Hot springs are like wrought with culture, and just like
a hot spring episode is always a good one.
I love hot springs.
It's going to be great. Oh, apparently I can't be heard.
Yeah, you're super.
Yeah, you're
soft
coming in really soft right now.
Am I coming in soft?
Yeah,
it's not on your microphone. It's coming from like maybe your webcam or something.
It's coming from my microphone.
Oh no.
You've been tainted.
Oh no.
No, everything is good on my end.
Yeah, your volume decreased somewhere.
Oh,
If
all
you
of a
show your
sudden-
taint on stream, Twitch will ban you. So
Yeah. Okay.
Should we read the Shinjo family? Well,
what? Yeah, why don't we go through this?
Go ahead
So,
without me, and I'm gonna solve
so
this.
we're on Yutaku, aren't we?
No,
Shinjo.
Shinjo.
Shinjo. So Emma, you want to take us away?
Sure. The Shinjo are the core of the unicorn, the clan of explorers who followed their kami Shinjo into the dangerous world beyond the empire. This love of discovery has not left the Shinjo, and they travel widely when they can. They administrate and lead the unicorn, working to keep all the parts of the clan yoked together. Master equestrians and scouts, the Shinjo pursue peace, but never flinch from the prospect of war.
How's my audio now?
Say,
Soft.
Same.
You got a
Poor-
volume?
Poor
volume?
Daniel. But Emma, any initial thoughts?
not new ones that I haven't said already.
Rehash what the text is echoing to you, please.
I don't know right now. I kind of need to read it in my head.
They're just like the horse family, kind of, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the horse family.
They're the...
What I really want to focus on is that basically up until the very last word.
Oh, never flinch from the
The
prospect.
text
Never
had me
flinch.
like.
Oh, you're
very,
good now,
like,
Daniel.
engaged.
You're good now, Daniel.
I switched mics.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
I was very engaged with it. I was like, the idea of exploring the wilderness and like understanding and discovering is very neutral and I think very beautiful. Colonialism aside, just exploring nature and understanding it has a lot of like stories to tell. Our in real life world is absolutely wrought with mysteries, and everyone should be, in my opinion, interested in those mysteries. Sorry, I'm gonna gush. I'm a physicist. I love soft matter physics. I love things like how a spider web like retains water. Like that's like very interesting to me. The physics of that is very interesting to me. That said, this whole paragraph is just tainted by the fact that, and this is very Rokugani, that this clan is entrenched in war. It's like you explore and you discover, by the way, war, violence, savagery, cruelty. Understand that you're back in Rokugan and you need to deal with those themes, Steve. And that's what the text like says to me. It's tough.
The one that gets me too is that anything strange is dangerous. So I see this a lot when talking about nature in particular, that wilderness and everything else is just inherently dangerous. But this is a very like settled agricultural perspective on the things you can't control. So painting the entirety of the unknown and the outside world as dangerous or strange, and therefore a problem, is also kind of showing up with the unicorn a lot. Like, it's weird.
So I'm gonna gush a little bit on a Netflix series which you can just view and you can watch. It's a Korean drama called Kingdom. It's a zombie horror.
I've
look
seen
really
the
good.
preview.
It's excellent.
Go watch it. It's amazing.
We should do.
But
a
I do
Netflix-
want to.
we
I
should
do
a
want to
party
show
with
that, like, from a creative standpoint, the Asian writers and creators have this idea of that nature is beautiful and dangerous, and they frame it in such a way that nature can be beautiful and dangerous, but it causes harm to people when people's ambition and people's like general want for power overcomes their sensibilities and kind of like general wisdom, which has problems in its own. But that is a story that is very Asian, in my opinion, because obviously from Asian voices. But the idea that the wilderness is just strange and dangerous and something to be conquered, that is a very Western idea. And
I mean, the same thing with monsters too. I noticed that Ken in the chat is saying, "What if I don't care about zombies? Will I still enjoy Kingdom?" I will say probably not. But if you want to learn more about Asian worldviews of nature and the natural world, read the Shanhai Jing. It's a Chinese book. It's like it's like a Chinese classical text, and it's actually a Chinese monster manual. but it was a biological text about how they actually understood their mythical geography beyond the known world to them. So if you don't like Kingdom and you want to understand the Asian perspective on nature and how it is not an adversarial relationship with nature, or that our understandings of nature can be scary but not in a violent way, read the Shanhai Jing. It's like the classics of mountains and seas.
And with a lot of the Japanese stuff, if there's ever that conversation of like people's place in nature, is all of the problems occur because we forget that we're part of nature and create those imbalances.
I have a great article. I should link. Let me go find it. It's about how monsters in most cultures, monsters are really the reaction of the natural world to human action. There's a reason there's a monster. It's really only in Western culture do you see this idea that like there's a boogeyman waiting for you in the darkness, and that is entrenched in colonialist ideals. And that, for me personally, was something I had to unpack, because as someone who grew up in the West, and like lived in the diaspora and like kind of like all my cultural influences, I had to really deconstruct my own understanding of what it means to be a monster. And you can see a lot of that deconstruction and stuff like feminism with media such as like My Monster Boyfriend, because that is highly entrenched in feminism and what monsters really mean to us as a culture. But that is outside the scope of this.
Let's go back to the text.
So we're
But
back on
there's also
Utaku family. Sorry.
We also
sorry,
have
go
a
ahead.
picture of the Shinjo champion.
Oh,
Wait.
yeah.
Well, oh, yes.
Clan champion of the unicorn,
Sorry.
Shinjo Altansarnai.
Speaking of feminism,
Oh,
we're gonna
Was,
go real
ori-
pink, purple.
the original champion. Let me give you another art, because I think this one's a better art. The original champion was male. They did gender swap this for the reboot.
oh, I like that one.
Dang. Doesn't even need a bridle.
Yeah. That's
Or
what-
she? Or no,
she?
you said gender swap.
Yeah,
I think this is a woman, right?
that is a woman, Shinjo Altansarnai.
Solid.
That's really cool.
Name, I believe, means golden rose in actual Mongolian.
I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Yep, golden rose in Mongolian.
That's
Yeah.
also cool.
And she was supposed to marry a lion clan, but in order to do so, she would have to give up her station as champion, and her son would take over. She said, "Screw that," and started a war with the lion.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, sorry, quick question. If you zoom in on her left arm, she's got this like thing hanging off of it. It's like a little. Is that like some sort of talisman for magic?
It's possible,
Or
like
a Netsuke or something, but that doesn't even that's not even where it's supposed to go.
it looks. I think it's just decoration. It looks like
Oh,
a
okay.
bell that just flew off of her. And honestly, to me, it looks like a very tiny, like one of those like cat bells.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't like the way the fingers are holding the bowstring, but sure.
You'll never like the way they depict bows.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
It's something that they consistently screw up in all forms of media.
They do.
My brother will agree with you 100% on all of these. As an archer, you just pick up on these things.
There's
Alright,
so much.
the Utaku.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's so much cultural identity involved in like archery and like the way you use tools that we always see in RPGs. We don't always see, but we generally see in RPGs. Just missed. But that said, let's move to the otaku and like move through the text here. Sorry,
Okay.
it takes away.
It sounded like you said otaku. It's not
Well,
that.
That's yeah.
Sorry, that's how the family used to be spelled, with an O.
Are you
the-
shitting me?
And you would love the way they retconned it. You will love the way they retconned it.
I bet people got mad too.
They did.
Of
No
course.
other unicorn family has so deeply and spiritually embraced Bushido as the Utaku, who embody it in their elite battle maidens. The Shiotome. The matriarchal Utaku allow only their women to ride to war. The Utaku men serve afoot as infantry and in the stables and household, making them unusual among their own clan. There is no finer heavy cavalry in the unicorn than the battle maidens, and no finer equerries than the Utaku men.
Okay, I don't know why they'd be unusual in their own clan if it's like steeped in
Yeah.
centuries of tradition. Like, I don't know why that's unusual.
Can we do
Like
a micro RPG L5R like magical girl stories like Sailor
Magical
Moon?
girl
What they're trying
stories.
to get here.
I want my micro RPG to be taking care of horses. That's
Taking
my
care of
micro RPG.
horses.
Oh,
There you go.
I have an RPG about that.
Are you serious?
Not
What?
taking care of
Are you
horses.
serious?
Hold up. Just continue without me.
This is my favorite part of streams, where I'm just like, I want this micro RPG, and Daniel's like, I got you, fam. And I'm like, what? But like, I was serious when I said the way that people treat beasts of burden, whatever that might mean, to cultural identity is like a super fascinating thing, and I don't think enough RPGs dive into that. I think Unicorn Clan is a great example of this like horse culture, this culture that is like very aligned with like horses, and we don't get to see that cultural aspect of it, which is a shame.
I'm going back now and looking at all of the saddles and bridles and everything, because it is those things are super cultural, and I was just looking for if there was any consistency or anything. But
Can I ask for like more information around like horses and bridles and just like
well, yeah,
the cultural like significance of this like stuff?
like what in general or any specific question?
Whatever your heart so desires.
Yo, post-COVID, we should go horseback riding.
Oh,
We
I
could-
wish I could.
Yeah,
So
I was about to say you can come to the farm where I grew up because we have multiple horses, but like,
Nice.
I have
I've
a fear
never.
of horses.
Oh,
yeah.
Horses kind of freak me out.
Emma,
That's fair.
haven't you been kicked by a horse?
I was kicked in the face by a horse when I was a kid, and it like cracked my skull in multiple directions. I'm fine,
It's
apparently.
a hell of a thing to drop at a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emma's a badass. Sorry, I put that out there.
Yeah, but then I guess it just I never thought of them as scary creatures, even though I was injured repeatedly by
I
horses.
think
Let's get F's in chat for Emma getting kicked by a horse.
I think,
what the fuck?
I think every single stream Emma
Right
becomes
here.
the fan favorite.
I was kicked right around here. It shattered this part of my orbit and cracked this way. I flew back and hit a pole, and it cracked this way.
Grief.
And the only thing that really saved me from brain damage was that my skull fractured in multiple places, so my brain just kind of wobbled in place instead of slamming into my skull.
And
So
Emma's
here
getting a
I am.
PhD.
Yeah, I'm
Oh.
doing a PhD.
Here you
see
are
what
reading
happened to the
L5R.
horse.
Wow.
So I've never played this, but this is sat in my shelf for a very long time from when I was a teacher using RPGs. But I have a copy of My Little Pony: Tales of Equestria,
Oh,
and it has
I-
unicorn rules. I don't know anything about this world,
So
but
what-
it's a
for what
cool
it's
system.
worth-
It's got friendship.
Yeah,
A
for
lot
what
of
it's worth,
friendship.
I've recommended
Mortal
it to
Kombat
like a
also
lot of
has
people. A lot of people who wanted to run it with like their young daughters
Yeah.
or cousins or nieces. I've recommended this a couple times just because like I think it's a good way to hook people into
It uses
RPGs.
the 5e rules.
Mhm.
yeah, it uses 5e rules, which
That's
like
a better
bridges a
map
gap
than
that's
the L5R map.
Nice.
It's got.
I was gonna say it's a
unicorn
better
rules,
map
too.
than El Qadim, but that's a low blow.
That's a very low. That's a low bar.
Mm-hmm.
When you have
Let's-
your letters spread around the bottom.
But yeah,
So-
Emma, we interrupt you. Tell me about horses and like the art that you've seen so far.
Oh wait, let me go back. Is this Utaku Kaboko? Is this a new one?
So
That's a new one.
a lot of I could talk about practical stuff. I am looking for more cultural. It's a little strange. Some of the saddles don't have any form of stirrups on them. And I don't know. I would have to spend a bit more time with it. All of the bridles are impractical, but like, I don't know. the shape and the materials and the bit is very cultural, like what it looks like and how it works. I don't know.
Would a
Like
steel horn like that affect the horse's ability to move?
I doubt they would like it. They wouldn't be able to see it. A lot of these things, some of them are blocking some of their vision, which you usually don't do with riding animals unless you're looking to go very slowly and only in one direction. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think a lot of this art is meant to be
That's fair.
Well, I gotta say, one thing that I've always thought was cool about horses were like the leather saddlebags. I've always like bags, and then you see in like people who have like a rifle holster on their saddlebag on their.
Oh yeah,
it seems neat.
This one with the bridleless horse, the stirrup strap is going up along the outside of the leg, which is really weird.
Oh, do I have the right one on screen for everyone that we're talking about?
It's white. It was the one that we liked, but you didn't like
the one.
bow.
Shinjo Alternate. The
Oh yeah, that one. Okay, cool, got it.
So like the stirrup doesn't need to be closed, but going up along the outside of the leg like that is weird.
What about is that the chest of the horse where the metal plate is?
Yeah.
What's holding that?
On the white one?
Yeah, the white one.
So it would be the girth around the bot, like around.
Oh,
its
I guess
chest.
it's supposed to go like this way, right?
Yeah, but you would really want some sort of chest plate or, and yeah, they have different names, so I'm not going to bother with that. But it helps stop it from sliding back, especially if a horse is moving at high speed. They are elongating and compressing, so your saddle would gradually work its way off the back of the horse and you with it. So you kind of need something to hold it on, on the front.
Maybe this goes into the theory that this is like a spirit horse. That's what the chat was saying. They were like, maybe it's a spirit horse.
You're still gonna want to stay on. Yeah. And if you ever see any depictions of saddles with a double girth, one closer to the back haunches, that would drive a horse nuts. Those don't tend to exist because they would just buck until it was off.
That sounds scary.
Yeah,
we got to do an Asians ride.
I've totally been bucked off of a bunch of horses before. It's not fun. It's thrilling, but it's not fun.
Thrilling.
Give me.
Also been dragged. So look at stirrups and see whether or not your foot would get stuck in them, because you will get dragged and it'll probably get you stepped on.
I don't want to ride horses anymore.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll watch you.
Most saddles now are designed so that doesn't happen, and so were like ones of the past. You see a lot of Asian saddles have like a hook that your foot goes into, and you're never actually like strapped into it completely. So if you fall off, it's fine. You're not going to get caught.
I'll just be like Tina Belcher with her pretend horse.
Yeah,
that episode of
that works too. You are welcome to come meet.
This did not convince me to ride horses.
No, not
but
at all.
Let's move on. So we just read the otaku, I think. So I think we should move on to the.
Yep.
Or do we not read it?
No, we did.
We did read it, but we didn't discuss it really.
I mean, we got a huge lesson on horses, which.
It was.
That was great.
Let's take a small detour.
Okay.
But producer Steve, I guess I'm producer now. I'm producer now.
That's okay.
We got our time's running out here, but let's go ahead and talk about otaku, and let's see if we can get through the schools as well in the time that we have left.
I think we should just skip the otaku family bit, because we've talked about TTRPG's
like 5
portrayals of matriarchy and how it's weird.
Yeah. We can look at their armor.
Not how that matriarchy is weird, but how TTRPGs portrays.
I think from the armor, just like trying to talk about it, it's the first armor I've seen with weapons. Actually, like part of the armor. I wish all the armor had weapons associated with it.
Fair.
But
what's the first one? It's
first one is on page 82 in the print. The Ide Trader School.
The only thing about the armor that weirds me out is if the men have beards, why does this armor have a beard built into the faceplate?
It's a
beard
really
on
good
top of a
fucking
beard.
question.
Beard on beard.
Beard on beard.
The more
All right.
beards you have, the more powerful you are. That's
Great.
But moving on.
I'm of the E-Day Trader School.
Dan, want to take us to E-Day Trade School? I'll take the next one.
I'm going to start with the blue text. In a holdover from the unicorn's days journeying the burning sands and beyond, every unicorn child learns to ride, pack, and travel to where they are needed most at a moment's notice. More than other schools, Unicorn Dojo are innovative in the development of their techniques and receptive to borrowing methods and equipment from other cultures. They do not take pride in upholding tradition so much as they value forging their own traditions to best serve the clan. They don't like traditions, but they like making their own traditions.
Yeah. They should have swapped that second mention of the word traditions out.
Yep.
I would be fine with that if they did that.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, the E-Day Trader School, Courtier. The ever-friendly face of the unicorn is the E-Day. E-Day traders always attempt to solve problems with negotiation first and foremost, as they know any business dealings between friends and equals forge bonds as strong as steel. While some of the other clans think of the E-Day as soft, none can point to when they were able to take advantage of this perceived weakness. The E-Day traders ignore insults and politely welcome compliments in equal measure. They have a vast knowledge of cultures, both Rokugani and foreign, which allows them to tailor their dealings with precision. Again, these are supposed to be samurai.
I played with a dude who played a trader in this school at one point. He just succeeded on every social check and brought the right gifts for the diplomats we were visiting. And then I had to sit through this really weird session where it was me and a bunch of white dudes at the table, and they were explaining to me about the gift-giving traditions in Rokugan, where you're supposed to give gifts to people that you meet in order to show your humility, and they're supposed to refuse because it's a polite thing to do, and there's supposed to be a back and forth. And I watched them portray this, and I was like, dude, this is just like every time I visit relatives. Like this is so bizarre to see you guys enacting this in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Give me tools for that experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Mendez who actually said that if you're gonna do this kind of cultural RPG or whatnot, your rules should allow those who have cultural experience to inflate them, to take advantage of their lived experiences rather than downplay them.
That's not what this game does.
Generally, no, it doesn't. But if that was your experience where people could use how they interact with their uncles and aunts, that's a very magical thing. And that's a very sought after thing. And if your RPG can do that, you've hit gold.
There is a game like that.
There's many indie games, 100%. But Daniel, chill, fucking chill.
There's one, and it's by
My Little Pony.
No, it's called For My Family, and it's a Filipino hack of For the Queen.
Yes.
Can one of the mods share that? It's For My Family. It's on itch.io.
So Jeremy, what you just described remind me of the dinner check situation. Every time my family goes out to a restaurant.
Yeah. Who's gonna pay?
They did a good job of that in Fresh Off the Boat.
Let the unicorn trader do it.
I'm at this point now where I'm just close enough to take the bill. I know how much I know how much clout it'll give me if I can pay the bill, but I know how much negative clout I'll get if they say if they smack me down. And that is a very Asian turmoil to deal with.
I stand back. I know my place.
My immediate family has a lot of tensions around my identity and whatnot, but I've always dreamed of taking the bill, and that is a very the reasons why I want to take the bill is very different than a Western idea of why you want to take the bill. And
I generally do that with my immediate family. But with the extended family, that's not a thing that's going to happen.
Oh no, fuck that!
That's not a thing that's going to happen.
I am way too young to steal the bill with my extended family.
Yeah, not happening.
Hey, Sar, random question: does Rokugan have an equivalent of Hongbao or Lycee, red packets?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Whoa. No, that's a different
That
that's
question
a whole
came
stream.
out of wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
I was just thinking of relatives and stuff like
We
that.
got to
relatives
wait
and
until
stuff like that.
February next year. We can't do it yet.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah,
wait
we
until
can't do it yet. We can't
2021.
2021. But let's move on to the Ayushi Mishoto Master School.
We didn't do the ability, the mastery. A friend in every city. As the downtime activity in any place of human habitation, you may take a target number 4 commerce water check to find a merchant with whom you or your relatives have done business. If you succeed, you find this individual and gain an ally advantage for them, which predisposes them to assist you in various ways. That's dope.
This is cool.
That's like the
I know a guy.
That's like I know a guy in 5th edition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool.
It's
Just
really
very
cool.
evocative.
I like it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Steve, do you want to take this one?
Ayushi Mishoto Master School. The unicorn understanding of magic and the spirits has been greatly influenced by their years of exploring outside the empire, and the making of magical talismans remains the focus of their craft, Mishoto. The Uchi Mishoto Master's magic is unique among Rokugan's Shugenja. Using words of power taught to them by foreign sorcerers, they bind the spirits into talismans, which can then be gifted to others to use. Their heritage makes the Ayuchi one of the most open-minded of the Shugenja families. And then finally on the blue text, Ayuchi invocations. As they develop their traditions with help from the sorcerers in the Burning Sands, not explained, the Ayuchi Mishoto masters know invocations by foreign names. See a table for other techniques.
Okay.
My gut says colonialism, but that is from like a lens of other microaggressions and whatnot.
It's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I think it's just a flaw in the world building for this game, because you look and you see their starting equipment. They have traveling clothes, ceremonial clothes, a wakizashi, which is coded as Japanese, obviously. One weapon of rarity 6 or lower, which I'm assuming represents something that they have from their family or their travels.
I think everyone gets that.
Everyone gets that?
Generally.
Everyone gets that. Everyone gets
okay.
a wakizashi also. Yeah.
And then they get a unicorn warhorse. And I'm interested to see what they mean by that on page 326.
Apparently all the unicorns get a unicorn warhorse.
I guess in the lore it makes sense, but then that means there are so many horses in this very small land.
I got that feeling. It's like there's just so many horses. Which
Well,
is like
again, it's like
the
there's so
fantasy.
many horses, and then there is just all of this open land where these horses graze and where they set up their yurts. Like this is feudal Japan. All of the land in general should be accounted for, right? Yeah. So like that means that the unicorn have land that is theirs, and they're just like, we can roam free just in this land.
So it actually says to look at page 326 to find a stat block for the unicorn warhorse, but there's only one for a Rokugani pony, which is, oh, never mind. There's like it basically the unicorn warhorse is a more powerful version of the Rokugani pony. It gets some stat boosts. Yeah, that's why they get it.
Hey, Emma, what are those horses that they have in the north and they pull the sleds in Japan?
Wait, what?
I'm gonna look this up. I learned this. A Bene horse.
One learning that I had, and this is super embarrassing for me. I don't know if I want to say it a second time. I'm gonna say it a second time. I thought ponies were like baby horses, and that's incorrect. So
it's okay though.
I think it's a very common
Some
misconception.
of them look like baby horses.
Yeah.
No, I know it's a common thing, but like it still makes me feel like pretty embarrassed. But
That's okay.
For me. It's like, oh, Himbo Steve is like, oh, cats are just baby dogs. Like we don't talk about that.
Here's the thing though, like the definition of a pony is kind of arbitrary, and it's based solely on their total height.
Yes. I'm looking for like big boys and big girls. But like having a pony just being a unicorn being just like a better pony is like very jarring to me. But that is like trenched in like my own false assumptions about basically what the words
we just
mean.
don't know about horses.
We don't know about horses, and no RPG has ever like tried like all throughout Dungeons and Dragons, which is my general like RPG experience, which I think is very similar to a lot of our viewers and a lot of people who tag me in Twitter. D&D is a big formulation, and like D&D never taught me that ponies and horses are just different. And like
mounts and
so
D&D 5th edition are really underdeveloped unless you play the Cavalier subclass, and they're still underdeveloped.
What about the riding dogs?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, they have a mastery ability. The spirit's unbound. At the end of your turn, you may spend 1 or more void points to unleash the powers within an equal number of your Mishoto talismans, destroying these talismans and freeing the entities within. You may immediately perform each of the invocations to which the talismans were created, reducing the target number by 3. That seems real good. Is this basically like you spend void points and 1 turn you just cast as many spells as you have void points?
Basically, imagine if you have 6 Pokeballs, you take all 6 Pokeballs and throw them and like summon all 6 Pokemons at the same time. That's basically what you're doing.
That's cheating. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting idea, but I feel like this is a kind of a school that there could be an entire supplement behind the history of these talismans and what they do, and it could go in some really colonialist ways, like you guys have said. But on the surface, it is interesting.
Or it could be a micro RPG where you're
it could be a micro
or
RPG,
you're playing Microscope, and it's about the history of said talisman instead of a civilization.
Yes.
It's just one talisman.
That could be quite interesting. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on. Steve, do you want to read Moto, Conqueror School?
I would love
the Conqueror School.
The Conqueror School. Yeah, flicks on this. While most Unicorn Dojo focus on swift and complex techniques, the martial style of the Moto Conqueror favors straightforward, unrelenting force. They fight loudly, using sweeping movements and wield weapons many Rokugani do not recognize. As a result, few samurai know how to react to the Moto style, let alone defend against it. Other clans consider the Moto to be barbarians, and the Horde use this to their advantage. If the Empire will not make an effort to understand the Moto's ways, then how can they stand against them?
Leaning real hard into this barbarian.
Yeah. Do you think wouldn't the lion know how to fight them since they're kind of fighting? Because otherwise, then the unicorn would just take over the lion.
It's been 200 years.
In 200 years, they were just like, "What are these swords?"
Even though, was it one of their definitions that they know all weaponry?
Yeah, and then there's the dragon people on their mountains, and they're just like, "What are?"
I think it's all weaponry except for weapons outside of Rokugan.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's going on over there? Huh?
What is that? What do you have? What do you have? Show me.
What's that?
That's not a katana. I don't know what that is.
So, like, can we talk about how they're just called the Horde?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, there's a whole AD&D tangent there to talk about the Horde.
Is that
each of the unicorn wings, each of the major unicorn wings is called the Horde. There's the white Horde, which is lost, the blue Horde, the red Horde, yellow Horde, and the green Horde.
For the Horde.
And then when they come together, they make a mega Horde.
The Mega Horde.
Zordon. Rita's
Zordon.
escapes.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
That a horde mentality, when projected upon Asian identities, is obviously very harmful. This leads into Yellow Peril, which was a World War II kind of like way to make people, more than World War II, to be honest, way to turn Western people against Asian people and to put them into roles that were more easy to control, such as restaurant roles and worker roles and laborer roles. So when you have an RPG that shows hordes in this way, a lot of Asians, at least myself, will look at that and raise an eyebrow, and that on its own will not be the thing that makes you walk from L5R, but it is a drop in the bucket towards the things that make me say this game probably is not for me unless I absolutely 100%, 1,000,000% trust the players and the GM.
I personally also just find it to be a bit of a tired trope. I mean, we're already leaning quite hard on this Mongolian kind of imagery, and here is the straight up Mongolian stereotype of the barbarian invader, and
except that they give them a Japanese bow.
I mean, it's and there's school their rank 6 ability, scoring Siroso.
Yep.
Once per round, after you inflict the incapacitated condition on a target, you may perform a strike action against a different target. So you just incapacitate people?
I guess.
Seems kind of meh to me.
I think it's
Kinda
kind of.
is.
I think it's kind of dope. I think the idea of like,
Like a guy rampaging, just like bam, incapacitated,
knockdown.
bam, another one. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe.
yeah, incapacitation is like a one hit KO, really, right? And I think that's really, really cool.
punch.
It's not as cool as like the Scorpions, who could just be like in the scene, one
Oh, yeah,
person
that was
dies, and like that's powerful. Hashtag powerful. This is like a toned down version of it, which is fine. The flavor is like, I get the flavor, I understand it, but it is entrenched in like this like stereotype that makes me uncomfortable.
Should we go on to the Shinjo Outrider school?
Yeah, let's do it.
I do want to stop on the art though.
Oh,
Emma, I'm so
the
I'm
horse,
so into
the horse.
horses.
We gotta talk
I'm
about
so
that.
into,
Oh,
I'm
wait, no.
so fucking into
We
horses.
should
now.
say, Sar, do you have the full image of this?
I do. Give me a
But-
second.
So the bridle on this makes more sense, but the chest plate or martingale is another term for it. That's not what you would do with that. So like cut into your horse's windpipe in order to stop yourself from sliding backwards is a bit odd.
Horses don't need to breathe.
Okay, let me get this. Let me get this art that Sar just shared.
Also, yeah, this.
Oh wait,
there-
that's a different one. Sorry, the last one. The the Moto. Sorry, go ahead, Emma.
I don't know. The ring in the middle of the stirrup strap is strange. It doesn't give you a lot of support.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
And yeah, I don't know.
What is going on with the horse's hair?
Things.
Yeah.
It's parted.
Its tail's coming
It's
out of a
parted.
weird place. I don't know where its butt is. And its eyes are set forward, which is very unusual. It's horses don't tend to get a good representation.
Sorry,
in a
wait.
lot of
Oh,
art.
we're talking about the Shinjo Outrider. I was looking at the wrong one. That's my bad.
Oh,
No.
which one?
Sorry, you were
Yeah.
right. You set the right one.
okay.
Yeah.
The first
okay,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. The Shinjo Outrider was the one we're talking about, right?
Shono, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
character is named Shinjo Shono.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Things
There's
I
a
will say,
lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Things I will say though, I like the sense of like, this feels like an army. This feels like something that's like organized. They have their banners, they have their horses, they have their armor. The helmet is questionable, but they have their armor, and I feel badass. If like this was gonna be my family, this is badass as hell. A lot of the art I think makes us feel like badass, and that's dope. That's a very, very positive thing, because Asian stories generally tend to not be badass. They tend to be like the sad stories. This guy feels like he could be like a main. He could be the main character in a Marvel movie.
I could see you being that character, Steve. The hair. Look at the hat.
Moto type. Which one are we talking about?
I'm talking about the
Shono.
one on Shono. The
Steve, I think, is talking about the Moto one. I think.
Moto
we
Tiger.
have-
oh, I was talking about the Shinjo.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the Shinjo
Steve.
one.
We're confused now.
We're confused.
I can't grow a beard. My beards come in so awfully. That's an Asian story, but like
Yeah.
that's not for this stream.
Should I read the Shinjo Outrider school?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah.
The core of the unicorn military, the Shinjo Outriders
Oh.
emphasize speed and flexibility. All Shinjo Outriders learn the art of reconnaissance and how to get the most out of their horses. No samurai is more mobile than a mounted Shinjo Outrider. Their preferred weapon is the Shinjo horsebow, which they use with great accuracy even while riding at a gallop. Trained to live off the land, the Shinjo Outriders thoroughly learn the terrain of each potential battlefield before having to fight over it. So their rank 6 ability is I will always return. Once per game session, you may call out for your steed. At the beginning of the following round, your horse arrives, regardless of any barriers that might normally have prevented it from reaching your location. If your steed has recently been slain, its spirit will possess the closest horse to you and come to your aid regardless, such as its loyalty to you. That's badass. That's like Link Ocarina of Time.
Yeah. There's some Epona going on there, plus possession.
That's pretty cool.
Dang.
And Born in the Saddle is your school ability. Your horse can help you on checks, which I think is fun.
It's like Roach in
Oh, you have
this
a
is
friend.
this is like Roach in The Witcher, Epona in Zelda, plus spirit possession. I do like
That's
it.
pretty cool. And I guess is that what this art is that you sent us, Sar? The latest one?
the latest
Spirit Horse.
The last one. Well, it's an alternate art for Shinjo Shono. Which I love this art better than his normal art.
Got a spirit horse in the background.
That's pretty cool. This is drawn by what's her name?
Emily Hutt.
Who's done a lot
Emily
of
Hutt.
this?
Her illustrations are beautiful.
Oh yeah, I love everything that Amelie has done so far.
This goes back to like, I think horses and identity are like so intertwined. This is a great opportunity to like talk more about horses and like travel and like that bond between humans and domesticated animals. We don't get it here. Maybe we'll get another text. But as someone who's reading it, I'm like, tell me more. Like, I really want to know more. It's not here. Doesn't mean it's another text. But we can move on. There's nothing like culturally where I'm like, oh, that's bad.
Let's do the Utaku. Is somebody taking care of that one?
I can read it.
Cool. I also want to hear
Monty
what you have
hasn't read yet, if you want. Or has he?
I mean, I can read if you want me to read.
Go for it.
Okay. Utaku Battle Maiden School. The most traditional and prestigious of the Unicorn Clan schools, the Shiotome or Battle Maidens, are revered as legendary cavalry. The dojo only accepts women who carry the Utaku name, and even then prospective students must meet stringent standards of prowess and honor. This is the only school in the Empire that teaches the secrets required to tame the powerful Utaku steeds, massive war horses that refuse all other riders. In battle, gracious, continuous movements mark their style, as does their unnerving serenity. Even when charging into the fray, battle maidens often move in utter silence.
Okay.
Wait.
How does a
With all the
giant
metal?
war horse move in utter silence with fully armored
Ninja horses.
and saddle and everything? I don't know.
Okay, here is the full art of the art in the book.
Okay.
What the?
I don't know what that horse is wearing.
What is that?
Looks like a cyber horse.
Boy.
Mecha horse.
Mecha horse.
It looks like one of
Whoa.
the Chitauri aliens from the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Its neck looks really long.
Very long. Where is
Almost-
its eye? That's odd. The proportions are weird.
Covered.
I feel like no horse would allow you to make them wear that.
Yeah.
You'd
Feels
be
like a half
surprised.
giraffe horse.
You'd be surprised, Steve.
I'll be happy to be surprised about that kind of stuff.
Oh, Daniel, I will send you horse armor photos.
This
later.
makes me think of the picture of that guinea pig wearing armor.
There's a picture of a guinea pig wearing armor?
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
made like metal armor for their guinea pig. It's
I must
solid.
look this up.
Yeah, you just look it up.
That
It's
sword is
enjoyable.
curved in a very strange way.
Oh god, I see what you're talking about.
I think it's just how she's wearing it on her belt.
Also,
if you
that's
That is a
Draw
very
it.
long link I sent. I'm so sorry.
If you draw it, the concave. Nope, I'm not going to go into it. Nope.
right.
Move on.
No,
I will say, if this is a giant warhorse, it is not showing me that. So you were asking before about the difference between, well, not asking, you said you didn't know the difference between a pony and a horse. And I said it's mostly height. So a pony is defined as something that's 14 hands and under. And 14 hands is an archaic measurement saying about 4.5 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And a standard horse is around 15 and a half hands.
Bad chili.
16 and above would be giant.
Bad Chili just said in before war alpaca. It's got the proportions of an alpaca.
Yeah. So the horse in that picture looks small, either pony or small horse size. So yeah.
I'm so happy you brought that up because from Dungeons and Dragons, from like R.A. Salvatore, the way I describe horses is that, oh, this is a big horse, 18 hands. And I have no clue what that means.
Yeah.
I just say it.
That's in an R.A. Salvatore book, or
Yes.
Which
Yes.
one?
which one?
Which
Which
one?
All of
We're
them.
both like, is it in the Crystal Shard? Is it in
So-
Silvern? Is it in?
So it might not actually be in the direct Dritz books, but it's probably in like the Interest Artemis
Oh, yeah,
series.
Artemis and Trary.
Truri? Yeah.
Which
And then like the Jaraxel books.
so I'm all in for Jalaxel.
Did we all just reveal that we are R.A. Salvatore nerds?
So just fucking
I still don't know which exact book is this.
Because we're like, which trilogy is it?
Which trilogy is it?
Oh,
The
God.
Legend of Dretz or the Thousand Orc trilogy? What are we
everyone
talking
on Twitter who's just like, oh, you guys don't like Dungeons and Dragons. Like I fucking read everything.
I read every Dritz
R.A.
book. I've read them all.
The Spine of the World is my favorite
That's a
book.
good one.
It is like an anti-Dritz book, but that's just putting that out there. Okay.
Thousand Orcs is so problematic, but
It's so problematic.
I didn't like
But I
Thousand Orcs.
remember being a teenager and seeing the cover to Thousand Orcs and be like,
Oh, I bought the
what?
book.
The cover.
you want problematic? The Highwaymen, which is not.
Oh, I
Dungeons
know,
and Dragons.
I know.
Oh, yeah, I have not read Demon Wars. Is Demon Wars good? Should I read it?
They
Salvatore.
really tapered in quality, but you know what's really good, and we'll end there because we gotta move on. If you like the R.A. Salvatore stuff and you're into video games, Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning, which just got remastered actually. It's just, he wrote the game and he wrote the world for it. It's
Isn't
a
he also
really
involved with the-
underappreciated
Really
action
good.
The new
Really
the
good
new
game.
Dark Alliance game, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, or
Oh yeah, I think
that's
I don't
coming out,
know.
Where the trailer was like Dritz with a GoPro on his sword, like really terrible.
Oh no, that's not Baldur's Gate. That's a
not
separate
Baldur's
game.
Gate,
It's a separate game.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's not Baldur's Gate. Yeah, I forget what.
No,
it
no,
is.
it was. I know what you're talking about. It's like, but apparently in that game you don't get to play as Dritz. It's just like you're Caddy Bree and you're Wolfgar, and then one
You don't
person's
get
like,
to play as Dritz?
I don't know, and then like one person's like, I'm Regis, and I've just got this gem. I think. I hope the game's like Vermintide.
I actually quite like R.A. Salvatore, even though like not everything he writes is very good, but I have a soft spot for his stuff.
I just like when I read his books as like a teen. It was like, oh, these are like super violent D&D books that are very problematic if I look back at them as an adult. But as
So
a
I
teen,
read them. I read them as an adult.
Oh.
as like pulpy reads, and my thought was like, I'm just going into these as enjoyment. And my thought was like, everyone's so freaking OP. Like Dritz is like level 2. and he
Caddy
fights,
Bree's
like,
bow is just like
He fights like
bam,
7
bam,
hook
bam.
horrors in like book 2. Okay, but anyways,
Yep.
we're getting too far into the weeds here.
So all of that said, fuck, I can't talk about Salvatore for all fucking like.
That's a different
2
stream.
hours.
That's a different stream.
We have one more school to go through, which is the Ronin. But we have
This is the
like,
Ronin
do you want to do this or do you want to like cut it
I think
here
Ronin
and
is
like?
next.
I think so sorry folks in the chat. I have to go soon. I have to help out a friend. That's all I want to say. But I want to finish this as well for you folks because I know you tuned in for this and we had some issues last week. So let's finish up the Ronin one, worldly Ronin path, because I think this is a part of Unicorn since
No, it's not.
No,
They are not part of Unicorn.
Oh,
Yeah, this
This
like
is
an
not part of
extra
the Unicorn
if you
School.
wanna be a
This is an
Ronin.
if you want to be a Ronin. If you guys are going to talk about the Imperial families or the Mantis families, then I would suggest adding
Yeah,
them.
we could save
because
this
it-
for next time potentially.
yeah.
okay, cool. I appreciate that because I feel like everyone's just gonna be like, "Don't worry about this one. Go to Path of Waves because that book seems way better."
Actually, yeah.
So
Good idea, Daniel.
okay, so
L5 Arc Twitter has like told me like Path of Waves is like what I'm looking for,
yeah,
which is not great from an optic standpoint, but I get it. I
yeah.
get it.
Let's skip this one. We have the rest of the like 20 questions, but for the sake of time, we also have done. This is episode 12, and we need to make some progress into this book. So I'm going to say I'm going to suggest that next week we move past the. Do we want to move past the 20 questions? We have talked about them, but
we have talked about them. Yeah. Yes. To
so
echo
just for the sake of like moving on, I know that a lot of people want us to look at the 20 questions because they are actually a good part of this book. But Critical Read is not about really trying to find things to praise. It's about trying to find problems and solutions to L5R. And I think we've already praised the 20 questions bit on how this is actually like a really neat tool that other TTRPGs should be using. So we'll figure out like on our own separate communications channel where we want to start next week. And we'll defer. Star and Jeremy and Monty too will defer to your guidance for that. But we've got a jam-packed weekend ahead of us. Like we have this stream. Not only this, but tomorrow we have Critical Read Academe. And last month's was, oh boy. Last month was rough. It was real rough.
In another Discord, I content warranted for like a lot of like racism and violence, but I was like, last month's stream was oops, all honor killings. And like that's kind of how the stream came off to me. And like that's funny, but that's me making light of like fucking terrible things that were written in the text.
Yeah.
And that was one of the streams where I actually had to stop watching, walk away for a little bit, and then come back to continue watching.
Well, like I mod them and I literally just recline my chair, close my eyes, and listen and try not to scream. It's rough. So you folks, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to catch up on all of that stuff. Soon we'll have, another Academe by the time you're seeing this. But if you're watching us live, we have another stream tomorrow at noon Eastern for 2 hours. Amar's amazing crew are going to continue reading through that slog of a book. It's rough. And speaking of YouTube, I want to thank all of you for helping us because Asians Represent are now actually officially YouTube partners. As of today. I didn't tell any of you. Surprise! We're YouTube partners. So that does mean that our YouTube channel does have ads now. So if you want to watch Asians Represent ad-free, subs on Twitch. Get to watch all of these streams ad-free. That being said, after Saturday's Academe stream, we're doing something real big on Sunday. Perhaps the biggest thing that Asians Represent has ever done. And Steve, myself, Amar, Pam, and Ahmed from our Academe stream, and Pam, who was on our Oriental Adventure stream, are actually going to be at twitch.tv/DND at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 4 p.m. Eastern. And we will actually be talking about telling Asian stories within D&D. Now, while this is a D&D stream on Sunday, a lot of the solutions and the things that we're going to talk about on that 1 hour stream are going to be solutions to a lot of the problems of L5R. So like show up, show us some love, because I know that, some of the haters are going to be there. So we got to show up strong, like the Crab Clan. That's the thing, right? So
for this stream, can you watch without payment or
being
subscribed or anything like that? Okay,
yeah, you could just tune in on Twitch and just watch it.
Nice.
And I know that they're going to like save the VODs and put them on the D&D YouTube channel.
It'll be around after the fact also.
If you can't it's you know what? It's a big opportunity because this is the first time that we, guaranteed, this is the first time that Wizards of the Coast is paying a cast of an all-Asian cast from around Asia. We have South Asia, we have Southwest Asia, we have East Asia, we have Southeast Asia. Has paid a cast to sit down and talk about the problems of D&D and offer solutions. This is huge. This is a step forward in a positive direction, but not the final solution. So we as a community need to show up, and we need to have the same amazing conversations we have in our own Twitch chat, but in the D&D one. We need to show Wizards that, our stories are important and our perspectives are important. So please show up. Not only on Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/DND, but also tomorrow. A lot of the problems that we've talked about here with the Unicorn Clan and portrayals of that sort of West Asia are the subject of our Critical Read series. So if you're interested in the Unicorn Clan or you're a Unicorn Clan player and you want to know what not to do, tune in tomorrow at noon on this Twitch channel. We have a couple episodes already uploaded. They are heavy, but oh my God, are they educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, we also have a Discord channel. A Discord server. We have recently added 2 new mods, so we opened it up to 50 more people. I put the call out on Emma's cat. I put the call out on Twitter for Asian folks to join. But now Drew, who is one of our amazing mods on the server and one of our amazing mods on Twitch, is going to be sharing a link to that Discord server. There are only a certain number. There it is. That's Ryzelk. There are only a certain number of openings. So please grab that link. If you could join, you're in. We will not be adding any more members to our Discord server until we have more mods. And we do this for safety. We want to make sure that we're able to have nuanced conversations there, share our feelings and work through these as a community. I will say I'm not doing any post-stream chat. Steve, I don't know if any of you are. I'm a little emotionally kind of drawn out, and I know we have a really long weekend ahead of us, and I really want to make sure that I pace myself for the weekend. So I encourage all of you to do the same as well. That being said, folks, thank you for joining us. We have everyone's socials down on the bottoms. Do any of you have any products that you want to share? Anything that's just come out? Nothing like that? No? Emma, are you open for cultural consulting now that you're done that last project?
Of course, yeah.
Boom. Starcheologist on Twitter if you're looking for
if you want to review horse-related stuff too, apparently I can help with that.
Yeah, fucking horse content.
And then go to the HuffPo, find Jeremy's articles. Yeah. They're great. I heard that there were 2 handsome dudes who were mentioned in a D&D article. So
two modest handsome.
I was talking about Jeremy and Steve. But anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow or in the future on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned, stay safe. 2020's been hard. Today was rough. And let's make sure that we can all get through this together. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Remember, the vote in November.
And vote if you're American. This is very important.